In a desert temple in Egypt in 1914, there is a professor named Pakoli who is interpreting certain symbols inscribed on a wall. According to his interpretation, the long snake represents the ultimate evil which will eventually spread terror and chaos. This chaos occurs every 5,000 years, and only a certain weapon can stop it. The professor says that the wall inscription contains people gathering the four elements of life, water, fire, earth, and air, around the fifth one, the fifth element, the weapon that will stop the foretold chaos. Another man named Billy listens to the professor while sketching. The priest is not delighted about what the professor discovered, so he attempts to poison the latter because he already knows too much. At this point of time, some aliens arrive in an unknown spaceship, and the priest comes forward to greet them. Apparently, he is serving them. The aliens, known to be the Mondoshuans, need to take away the stones needed to conjure the weapon because a war is coming and those are not safe on Earth anymore. When the priest expresses his worry that they will have no protection when evil comes in the next 300 years, the Mondoshuan leader promises him that they will return as well when the time comes. Suddenly, Professor Pakoli collapses from the energy injected on him by the alien as he is shown the fifth element inside the temple. Billy panics and points his gun toward the alien leader as he thinks that the aliens have killed the professor. He trips and eventually shoots the alien, which causes the temple to close up. The alien leader commands the priest to pass on his knowledge and gives him the key to the temple. 300 years later, the Federated Territories has been undergoing space missions to destroy an unknown celestial object which keeps on getting bigger. A priest of astrophenomenon known to be Vito Cornelius offers a different theory, saying that they should not fire upon the unknown object, which he believes is evil. Since evil begets evil, it will only get stronger if they take a violent approach against it. Yet, the president ignores him and continues the command to shoot it with 3 missiles. In result, their firing causes the object to expand and move toward the ship, devouring the team assigned to destroy it. Meanwhile, a man was just woken up from his dream and then gets a call from his acquaintance, Finger. He is a retired major. Corbin Dallas, who owns a cat, has a goal to quit smoking and is sulking after breaking up with this two-timing wife. Corbin enters a cab, which reminds him that he has only 5 points remaining on his license. Back to the Federation, who are now listening to Priest Cornelius' advice about the unknown object. They learn that 48 hours is all that it needs to adapt to their living environment, and its goal is neither about power nor money, but to exterminate all life forms. The Mondoshuan has the weapon to fight this evil. It is called the fifth element, surrounded by 4 elements that together produce what the ancients called the light of creation. Now, Mondoshuans have come to them as they promised before. They are then granted the permission to enter the Federated Territories. However, they are assaulted by another group of aliens known as the Mangalores upon entering. There is only 1 survivor left from the assault, and it is an arm of the Mondoshuan. The scientist is amazed to find it containing 200,000 memo groups with infinite genetic linked structure, claiming that the species has a perfect cell. Trying to save their savior, they use the DNA of the arm to reconstruct the Mondoshuan into a female, red-haired human. Yet, the woman wakes up and cannot speak human language, and the general just tells her that she will learn to develop it. This makes her mad, so she breaks the glass container, attacks the general, and tries to flee. She is unfamiliar with the place she's in, which makes her easily cornered by the police. To escape, the woman jumps off the building and lands on the car of Corbin Dallas. She tries to speak to him using the divine language, but he cannot understand it. Corbin urges the girl to come with the police, even though she begs for help because he has 1 point left on his license. But when the police are about to capture the girl, Corbin eventually changes his mind and escapes together with her. The police then chase them, and when they are about to identify him, Corbin uses his scan blocker, which makes the police conclude that he is a car thief, so they blast him. The two get into the fog, successfully shaking off the police officers. When Corbin checks if the girl is okay, she tells him to look for a priest named Vito Cornelius before drifting off to sleep. So they come to the front door of Priest Cornelius and are mistaken as bride and groom because Corbin is carrying the unconscious woman in bridal style. But when Corbin shows the tattoo on the girl's wrist, the priest immediately recognizes that it symbolizes the fifth element, and that makes him collapse. Afterwards, Priest Cornelius asks Corbin to gently wake up the sleeping redhead girl because she is mankind's most precious possession. Therefore, Corbin kisses the girl to wake her up, and the girl does not like it, so she points a gun to his head, muttering Ecto Gamma. Corbin introduces himself and asks for her name, which she immediately answers as Lilo Minai Lakarariba Laminai Tachai Ekbat de Sabat, nicknamed as Lilo. She sighs with relief when she sees Father Cornelius holding the key to the temple. Father thanks Corbin for rescuing Lilo, but he insists that they should leave as Lilo needs her rest. Before leaving, Corbin asks the priest what Ectogamat means, and he learns that it is never without any permission. When Corbin arrives home, Finger calls him about the cab, but Corbin ends up talking to him about Lilo. He describes her as 5'9", red hair, long legs, and perfect skin, seemingly smitten about her. Meanwhile, Lilo is learning mankind's history from the last 5,000 years that she missed through a computer alphabetically. She really likes the chicken that the priest prepared for her. When the priest asks her where the stones are, Lilo tells the priest that the Mangalores attacked their ship and tried to snatch it, but smart guardians have entrusted the stones to someone else who took another route. Lilo then makes a contact to find out where the person is and finds that the stones are in planet Fhloston of the Angel constellation. However, it won't be easy to go there since there will be a charity ball. Meanwhile, the boss of the stone thieves, Aknot, is negotiating with a man known as Zorg, who is their arms supplier and is selling them a new weapon with awesome functions called the ZF-1. In exchange for the ZF-1, Zorg ordered these Mangalores to steal the stones of the Mendoshawans. However, as he opens the box that is supposed to contain the stones, he discovers that it is empty. Zorg gets angry and tricks the Mangalores to check the red button in ZF-1. A warrior indeed gets curious with the red button, and by pressing it, he blows up himself and his comrades, much to Zorg's delight. Zorg then orders to find Cornelius, who comes and is asked about where the stones are. The priest says that even if he knows, he would not tell him because Zorg just wants to destroy lives, contrary to his philosophy of serving lives. Zorg shares his view on life, and due to those viewpoints, he has many helper robots, but none of them are able to help him when he is choking, which is ironic. Later on, Zorg's men put a cockroach surveillance camera at the Federation's headquarters and learn that the stones are in the hands of Plavalaguna, a diva who will sing on the charity ball in Fhloston. Around the same time, Corbin gets a message in a restaurant but decides not to open it. The chef comforts him that there might be good news waiting for him, yet unfortunately, the message says that he is fired by Zorg's company due to several violations of different codes. At the moment, Corbin's mom calls him to give him a series of sermons and informs him that he won a ticket to the Fhloston Paradise Charity Ball, which apparently the army rigged. That night, the Federated Army's general shows up on Corbin's door to tell him about his mission to save the world by getting the stones from Plavalaguna in Fhloston Paradise. Despite Corbin's retirement from the army 6 months ago, he is entrusted with this mission because he has a long list of capabilities of using different weapons and spacecraft. He is the most highly decorated member and the only one left alive in the elite Special Forces unit. Suddenly, Lilo arrives in Corbin's apartment while the army is still inside. Corbin tells his former colleagues that he has a visitor, a girl whom he wants to marry, who apparently hates the military, so he forces them to hide. As Lilo and Corbin exchange greetings, Father Cornelius shows up and points a gun at him, threatening him to give them the tickets he won for the Fhloston Paradise since they have a mission to save the world. Meanwhile, Zorg is also after the tickets won by Corbin. He sends a police command to go after Corbin, but the latter dodges them after corresponding in a funny way, so they proceed on to the other apartment units and capture an unknowingly fake Corbin. After ensuring that Corbin is out of his way, Zorg orders his right-hand man to go to Fhloston in Corbin's stead to bring back the stones. Meanwhile, the Mangalores also express their interest to go to Fhloston as a revenge for what Zorg had done to their comrades after knowing that they are not able to obtain the stones. They see the stones to be of high importance to Zorg, so they believe that he will be up to another negotiation with them if they succeed on its retrieval. At this point, several people are aiming to retrieve the stones: Lilo, the Federated Army through Corbin, Zorg, and the Mangalores. After Corbin's ticket is stolen by Priest Cornelius, he, David, the younger priest, and Lilo run to the airport. Cornelius wants David to pretend as Lilo's husband and keep her company in Fhloston. However, Corbin catches up with them just as they are getting the boarding pass. Soon, Corbin gets rid of his imposter and boards the plane with Lilo. Soon enough, two Mangalores come to pretend as Corbin and his companion, but they are detected as aliens, so the clash between them and the police is unavoided. Corbin is caught by the plane staff, led by Mr. Ruby Rod, because he is also apparently the only winner of the Gemini croquet contest, leaving Lilo alone in the check-in area. He is showered with treats, several performances, and astonishingly excellent service, but he eventually gets annoyed, so he goes to his cabin. After getting on his cabin with Lilo, Corbin is amazed that she has learned to speak English. He tells Lilo that he has a mission for very important people and that they should avoid trouble. Lilo assures him that he won't be in trouble, unlike her, who is the trouble herself, being the fifth element. Zorg's man, on the other hand, after pretending to be Corbin just to find out that the real one has already checked in and that the boarding's finished, calls Zorg, who is obviously disappointed. The man promises Zorg that it will not happen again, and while Zorg agrees, he then blows up his own employee as the plane starts to ascend. Afterwards, Zorg receives a call from a certain Mr. Shadow, who appears to be of a higher position and power than him because he gets scared and has his forehead bleeding after being asked where the stones are. He assures Mr. Shadow that he will see to it personally that the stones be retrieved, and Mr. Shadow ends the call with the last words that he will be among them soon. That certain phone call gives signals that are detected by the Federated Army, but then are immediately lost after the conversation ended. A while later, the plane finally arrives in Fhloston while Corbin is separated from Lilo as soon as the passengers start to descend. Corbin is assisted to his room. He asks a leading question to the attendant if Plava Laguna has arrived yet and that he wants to attend the concert. The attendant informs him that he has a reserved seat on the concert's front row beside Mr. Ruby Rod. Afterwards, Plava Laguna arrives and spots Lilo, so she sends one of her staff to let the Supreme Being know that the stones will be given to her after the concert. Before the concert starts, Ruby Rod accompanies Corbin, shows him around the star-studded opera house, and escorts him to his front row seat. As Plava Laguna sings at her concert, the Mangalores ransacks her room to find the stones, but Lilo fights them to prevent them from acquiring the stones. All these are happening while Plava Laguna sings so beautifully on her concert, hitting high notes after high notes. Zorg appears after Lilo defeats the Mangalores, and he commands her to give him the box he believes contains the stones. Simultaneously, the Mangalores take over the ship, causing a large ruckus in the concert hall, and while Plava Laguna is on the stage, she is shot with a stray bullet. Corbin tries to save Plava Laguna while she is on the brink of death, and he assures her that the government sent him to help her. While almost out of breath, she instructs him to give the stones to Lilo. In addition, Plava Laguna tells Corbin that Lilo needs the help and love of Corbin, or else Lilo will die and fail her mission. On the other side, Lilo is helpless and covered with blood, knowing that Zorg is able to take the case away. Zorg takes off from the hotel and happily opens the case that he obtained, but to his dismay, the real stones are not in that case. At this moment, Plava Laguna reveals to Corbin that the stones are inside her body. Corbin recovers the stones from the bullet hole that Plava Laguna received from the stray bullet, and he commands Ruby to protect those stones with his life, or else he will end up dead. Having someone who will now protect the stones, Corbin goes to fight all the enemies by himself. He shows his fighting prowess against the Mangalores using different weapons, and he can even utilize the enemy's weapons. Using different tricks, tactics, and proper terrain of the battlefield, Corbin finally wipes out the enemies on the concert hall with a little help from Ruby. Afterwards, he goes to the control room where the Mangalores hold Father Cornelius as hostage. The aliens demand a negotiation, but Corbin, being impatient that he is, he straightforwardly shoots the leader, making the Mangalores to surrender. After the hostage fiasco, Corbin immediately runs to the Diva's room to save Lilo, and he is followed by Cornelius and Ruby. The two notice the time bomb put by Zorg attached to the door, which moves everybody to start the evacuation. After realizing that he was not able to get the stones, Zorg rushes back to the hotel. But there are only 2 minutes left before the bomb detonates. Zorg reaches the diva's room once again and waits until the time bomb is at remaining 5 seconds before inserting a card to stop it. However, Mangalore is able to resume the timer and does it for his honor. The remaining 5 seconds lapse, then the bomb finally explodes. Meanwhile, Corbin takes Lilo, Ruby, and Cornelius into a spacecraft to flee from the hotel, much to Ruby's panic, but he calms down later after he knows that Corbin knows how to drive it. Now that the 5 elements are on board, Priest Cornelius guides them to the temple in Egypt to finally organize the weapon against evil. The president of the Federation is relieved that Corbin and his company succeeded in their mission. Just as when the Federation is about to celebrate this victory, a scientist sees that the unknown celestial object is advancing rapidly straight towards Earth. There is only an hour and 57 minutes left to do something about the chaos that is about to come, but none of them has any idea how to stop it. The priest decides to call Corbin to inform the group about the situation, and the latter responds that he will call them back in 2 hours. On the spaceship, Lilo continues to catch up with the history with the words beginning with letter W. She searches about what war means and becomes devastated upon seeing the destruction caused by the wars. The team finally lands on the temple in Egypt to set up the weapon that will defeat the unknown celestial object. They obtain the stones containing the 4 elements, wind, water, earth, and fire, which match the pillars surrounding the 5th element. But they are lost on how to open those stones, so they try to ask the exhausted Lilo. But her reply makes them even more confused. Wind blows, fire burns, rain falls. There are only 5 minutes remaining when they finally learn how to open the stones. David slightly blows wind on the stone assigned to him that makes the 4 of them conclude that they need to apply the certain element marked into the stone itself. David puts dust or sand above the stone, Cornelius squeezes out water from his hat drenched with sweat, and Ruby panics as he realizes that he has no source of fire to put on his stone. Corbin tries to look for the match that he uses whenever he smokes, and luckily there is 1 stick remaining. As the 4 elements are being prepared, the only one left is Lilo. However, she does not want to save the world where the people who live in it only want to destroy each other. Corbin tries to convince her that there are a lot more beautiful things in this world, such as love, but Lilo does not know love as she is sent to protect, not to love. All hope is lost in the remaining seconds until Corbin confesses his love for Lilo. He kisses her, which causes the union of all the elements to form the greatest weapon that will defeat the evil celestial object. The ray of light appears and destroys the ball of fire. It makes everyone rejoice since the enemy object is now a dead planet destroyed 66 miles away from impact. After everyone's victorious feat, the president goes to the Nucleo lab where the 2 hailed heroes, Corbin and Lilo, are resting. He wants to meet and thank them, but is not allowed to meet them immediately as the 2 are in a passionate embrace and are making love inside the chamber.